It's fourth quarter. Just like that. We are in the fourth quarter of 2024, effective. If you're watching this on Monday when it comes out, or Sunday, it's actually going to launch Sunday night. So you probably see it Monday. The following day will be October the 1st, which will be the fourth quarter of 2024. And it seems like just yesterday that we were launching our Free to Soar program that happened at the end of last year that emphasized four main ideals that we wanted to carry us through the year so that we could be successful. And here we are with just 3 months left in the year, and we have to determine if we're soaring. And today I am going to walk us through and remind us of what we said we would be doing if we were going to soar in 2024. And then, as another reminder, we also talked about the eagle mentality, and how in order to soar, there are certain things that you have to do that are akin to what an eagle would do in order to assure that you get your goals in 2024. I hope that you are, if not already there, well on your way to achieving those goals so that when December hits, you're like, yeah, I made it. And I will say this, before I even get to that, I got a friend of mine who actually she's more than a friend, but she was a part of the Free to Soar program, and she recently sent me her success plan that we went through last year. And believe it or not, she has accomplished everything that she set to accomplish in 2024, and we have not hit the fourth quarter yet. So I hope that for you, you wrote a success plan. You are, if not already there, well on your way, and know that you will get there. But we're going to walk through quickly what those steps are, and then we're going to ask ourselves, hey, are we on our way? Do we need to recalibrate? Are we doing the things that eagles do, like riding above the storms? Are we making sure that we only hang with other eagles or fly with other eagles? Are we going away if we need to so that we can restore ourselves and then come back stronger? These are all things that eagles do. Before we get to all of that, I am Dharma Remorse with the World Class Training Institute, where our organization exists to maximize your greatest resource, which is human capital. And we do that through the delivery of leadership and professional development training programs. I'm going to show you quickly our worldclasstraining.net/shop for all of our gear. This one is not there, but everything else is. We have our Be Better gear that's there right now. Also, our book, worldclasstraining.net / just gonna hide that one, and then here we go. worldclasstraining.net / agape 4, our latest book, which is Unpacking Agape, the 7 languages of intentional leadership. And it provides you with 7 behaviors that you should execute if you are operating from a place of servant leadership. So worldclasstraining.net / agape for that. And then for all of our leadership and professional development training programs, just go to worldclasstraining.net, fill out the form. That should be right there on the first page, and then contact us and we will have a consultation with you. We are excited to do that. All right. So those are our kind of station identification pieces that we wanted to get out the way. And now I'm going to jump right into SOAR. So you should see all around the screen, Freed to Soar, which is what we determined that we were going to be doing in 2024. So what exactly does SOAR stand for? So the first one is synergize. So at the beginning of the year, I challenged everyone to think about the connections that you have and the connections that you need to make, right? To synergize is when you make the whole greater than the sum of its parts. So you connect to certain pieces, and by connecting to those pieces, your whole becomes greater. The question for you is, have you synergized this year? What relationships have you formed that are fruitful and are making you greater than you can be individually? So it can be, I'm thinking I just recently became president of my local alumni club, and it's already yielding fruit, not necessarily from a growing business standpoint, but from a strengthening my relational muscle right here in the city of Nashville. There are so many great people who are a part of our alumni club, and I'm excited to continue to grow in that way. So that's one really outstanding way that I've been able to synergize this year. There have been other conferences and connections that I have been intentional about attending, and connections I've been intentional about making. Again, remember that I said at the beginning, you want to make it organic. You don't want to be someone who's just going just to see what you can get, right? Because that seems inauthentic, and it does not bode well for longevity of the relationship. So I have been intentional about thinking about, where are the areas that I can add value by either coming into the room or by forming this particular connection. I went to a conference recently and I decided to serve as a volunteer. Yes, I'm a vendor, but I believe that I could serve the constituents and see the people who I work with and be able to give back to the umbrella organization that's given so much to my company. So that's what I want you to think through. Have you synergized this year? And if you have not, where can you still look to form the right connection so that you can set yourselves up for the next year to be great, or even in this year greater than you had imagined? So that's the first thing, synergize. The second one is optimize. So when we're thinking about optimizing, we have to look at where we are and where we want to be. The where we want to be becomes that optimization level, right? So between where we are and where we want to be is what we call the gap. So what is our gap between where we want to be, and where we are? And how can we, or what have you been doing to align yourself so that you could get to that level of optimization? Now, it may not all happen in this year, but you should, again, be intentional about thinking about where you are, where you want to be, and what are the incremental steps, or as one of my favorite motivational speakers, Lisa Nichols, says, what are the micro wins that you can make on the way to your macro win or your optimization? So I want you to think through that. Have you been making those steps? Are you optimized? Maybe you already are. Most people, to the extent that we're always living, we're always growing. So there's always another level that we can reach. But we don't want to be afraid to make the move because we don't see, as they say, the whole staircase. I think that's what Martin Luther King said. You don't want to not make the move because I don't see the top of that staircase, so I'm not even going to make the first step. So many people make that mistake. I'm doing something right now that's I can't share what it is because it's at the really baby stages. In the first week I was working on it, I said, oh my goodness, how do people do this? I don't know how I'm going to be able to do it. But I said, you know what, Dawn? Rest and come back next week. So I've already put in my calendar every week that I'm going to be working on this project. And every Saturday, that's my commitment, except for some of the Saturdays I have a wedding to attend and another event, the bridal shower. So I won't be doing it on those days. But outside of that, I'm going to stick to that commitment, and incrementally I will get better. And just, I will say that even after the first week, when I came back next week, I was like, oh, okay, at least this makes sense to me. Where the first week, it didn't even make sense. So that's what you have to do when you're optimizing or thinking about optimizing. Don't think too grandiose, because then it can hinder you from actually taking the right next step to get towards where you want to be. That's optimization. So synergize relationships, optimize, closing that gap between where you are and where you want to be. Agitate. I love this one because agitation means that we're stirring something up, right? We're stirring something up. I love to stir something up, because when you stir something up, really you get something, in most cases, better than when you started. If I put flour, milk, eggs, vanilla, butter, and just lump it in a bowl and don't do anything with it, what am I going to get? A bunch of individual ingredients not doing anything. But if I take those pieces and add them the way they're supposed to be added, and then I agitate them in the bowl, and then put them in the oven so they can be agitated even more by being heated, right? Then I'm going to get something amazing from that. And so that's what we have to think about. What are some ingredients that we need to add to our lives, to our spirits, to our souls, to our work, so that we can be better? Just mixing it up, just adding a little something. You don't necessarily have to, like, being in business, I may not change everything I'm doing, but I may say, hey, maybe I can add this program to what I'm doing. And then by me adding that program, stirring it up, then I'm able to serve even more people. So it's about using that creative mind so that you can, again, create something even better. Agitation is amazing. It is amazing if we just sit and think about, as I was reading in a book called the seven spiritual laws of success. That first chapter was so powerful because it talks about pure potentiality. And I've mentioned it before, but the pure potentiality is about staying open to the broadness and the magnificence of what this world has to offer. And by us doing that, then we're able to walk into our greater selves. So when you're agitating, you are thinking about what is the greater that can be made in this moment, in this time, in this year, in this month. And then what do I need to stir up in order to get there? Right? So that's it. Agitation. And then finally, and this kind of goes along with agitation, it's reimagine. So again, when you're thinking about all of those ingredients, somebody had to say, sugar, butter, vanilla, flour, baking soda, salt, and some other things, right? Can all come together. Milk, eggs can all come together, and they can make this thing called a cake. Who knew? Who knew? But by reimagining all of those individual ingredients, they were able to synergize and make the whole greater than the sum of its parts. That's what we are called to do. I've heard it said, great preacher said, God didn't make paper. He made trees. And somebody had to reimagine what that tree could be. That's what we have to do. We have to take what we see and reimagine, what can this be if I put my creative mind to work? Oh, what a beautiful thing. Everything that's created in this earth is because somebody took what it was, looked at it, and said, what can it be? When Apple came out with the iPhone, when Steve Jobs came out with the iPhone, it was by looking at a BlackBerry and saying, what can it be? And that's what we have to do. So we want to reimagine, take what we see and think about what can we make greater if we just lean into our God-given imagination. Oh, what a beautiful world we can create. So, and this is the joy of life. As many things that are here, there's still more that can be added to the earth realm if we just put our minds to work. So, I ask you again, this is the start of fourth quarter. This is the start of fourth quarter. This is the end of the race, and we must run through the tape. So what are you doing right now? What have you been doing this year to make sure that you soar in 2024? And I will say this, suppose you haven't been doing anything. Suppose you're looking back and like, oh my goodness, this year has flown by. I haven't done anything that I really wanted to do. Well, get started today. Get started today. Because if you get started today, you can still soar. You can at least start flying with the eagles, right? But you've got to get started. Synergize, form the right relationships, optimize, figure out where you are, where you want to be, and start making steps to close the gap. Agitate, figure out what you can stir up so that you can make something greater, and do that first by reimagining. Reimagine what it can be, because you can make something greater if you just focus on it. If you just focus on it, that's all you have to do. All right. So have a great week. Have a great start to this fourth quarter. These are some of the best months of the year, I believe. Fall is so beautiful in October, and then my favorite month, not because it's my birthday, but because there's a great song, Sweet November, is coming up after that. And then finally, the end of the year, December, where we kind of settle in and count up all of the gifts that have been given to us in this year. But between now and then, we've got work to do, right? So that when we get there, we can say, I was able to soar in 2024. So quickly, make sure that you synergize, optimize, agitate, and then finally, make sure that you reimagine. All right? So we can soar in 2024. And it's been my pleasure talking to you all. I'll be back next week. Make sure to connect to the World Class Training Institute at worldclasstraining.net. Complete the form, and I will be happy to have a consultation with you. Pick up our gear. Again, our gear is going to be changing pretty soon, but the Be Better gear is still out there. So please go pick that up at worldclasstraining.net/shop. And then finally, always remember that when you are better, we are absolutely better. Make sure you soar.